Okay, what we got on the jig today here is a 1955 F100 chassis. And what we do here is we take the original frame and we'll sandblast them and inspect them for any imperfections. Sometimes we got to do rust repair, sometimes we got to do some crack repair, things like that. And then what we like to do is we box the frame, and we actually make these panels 8 feet long from the rear of the front radiator support and crossmember all the way to the center crossmember, so they're one continuous panel, no splicing, just for strength, and we make them out of 3/16 plating. This is a Cpp Front Crossmember that's welded in place here at this point, and the halves already installed. One of the things you got to pay attention to when you're installing this is we like to use a touch-off point. These chassis were made back in the day. These were all leaf spring chassis, and so the original touch-off points for alignment were based on the front shock mounts, or I'm sorry, the front leaf spring mounts. So what we do is we just stick a tube right through that hole, and that gives us a measuring gauge from this point to the hat or this point to the crossmember. Then we make a print on it based on that. We also do the same thing for wheelbase. So we'll put a lower control arm on here where we want it, and we'll measure from the grease circle lower ball joint to the center of the rear axle. A 55 F100 is based on a 110-inch wheelbase. So we'll take a touch-off point from here, and then we'll build a print based on that, so we know for each individual chassis where we want each of the components that we weld in. So you can see here now that these boxing plates are welded in, and then we make a cross member here and bend and use DOM 1 3/4 tube. We build these plates. They're based on a 3-inch center, and this gets to be a pretty tough piece. We'll use the original cross member in a lot of instances, and we do gusset them. And also, this particular suspension setup on here is what's called parallel 4-link. So we've got our brackets and stuff welded in. We've got it gusseted the way we want it. We C-notch the frame for different ride heights, so you can run a lowered chassis if you like. Your hookup point here for the panhard bar is welded on the inside left frame rail. We build this rear shock mount here out of 3/16 2-inch rectangular tube, and again we gusset it here. One of the problems you run into on the Ford chassis is if you want to put a large fuel tank in, like a 22-gallon tank, the frame widths are only 34 inches as compared to GM. If they're straight rail 3, like a 3600, are 34 or 3600, and then or 36 inches wide rather, and then some of them are actually 46 inches wide, which gives you a lot more room to work with. So we actually make a removable rear cross member. We use a piece of 2x3 square tubing, and we slug it so you can actually bolt this together and remove the tank out the back. It's a little bit more work. You have to remove a little stock on the bottom, about a 1/2 inch on the bottom of the rear frame rails, but then the tank will nicely sit in here, and you can actually put a 22-gallon tanks type system in here with your EFI system, your GPH or GPA modules, and in this case we're going to put a 5.3 engine and transmission package in here. So it sets up pretty nice. We chose to use the original rear end design, which in this particular truck was not a 9-inch Ford, but we found a little bit newer early 60s 9-inch Ford housing here, which is based on a 61-inch wheel mounting to wheel mounting, and Scott's got all the brackets and everything mocked up. We have jigs and stuff that we make to actually put all the hookup points on, and so he's going to be welding that up in a few minutes.